I read this story several times today. It is fascinating to me. He's not a head of state. He doesn't have an army. He has no experience whatsoever in war. But now we are learning just how much the players in both Russia, Ukraine, and even here in the U.S. leaned on Elon Musk at the beginning of the war in Ukraine. There is a new book out next week on Musk by the famed biographer Walter Isaacson, and the Washington Post has published an excerpt of it. And here is just one sample of it. It deals with Starlink satellites, which Musk oversees. Quote, he refused to turn the coverage for Crimea back on, arguing that Ukraine is now going too far and inviting strategic defeat. He discussed the situation with President Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, and chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, explaining to them that he did not wish Starlink to be used for offensive purposes. He also called the Russian ambassador to assure him that Starlink was being used for defensive purposes only. Do we have General Musk here?
This is so weird to think about because lately, with all the coverage of Elon Musk and X, I prefer Twitter, but X, I guess is what it's called. I think of him as this maybe right-leaning, very populist figure. You don't put him in this setting, but you forget that he has so many other endeavors, other connections, you know, to these other worlds like Starlink.
Yeah.
And it's a reality. I mean, he has ties there.
Starlink might end up being one of his most profitable companies. Yeah. But so he, you know, there are 4,500 Starlink satellites. Just for context here, 4,500 Starlink satellites. That is half of the active satellites in space right now. Mick, you know this. Republicans make the argument, you know, the free market, private enterprise can do it better than the government. What happened here is we turned things over to Elon Musk, and now we see that at the beginning of the war in Ukraine, it was General Musk calling shots.
Two things. I have to respect the quote. Starlink was not meant to be involved in wars. It was meant so people could watch Netflix and chill and get online for school and do good and peaceful things. I respect that.
That's in the book what Elon Musk told Walter Isaacson.
Here's my larger question. It's sort of it's a philosophical question for us as a country. So I guess we were okay with Facebook and Google getting involved in the election for the side that they liked, but we're not okay with Elon Musk getting involved in this on the side that he likes. You can't have it both ways.
I don't think I'm okay with either of them, right? And they've gotten too much power. I was part of planning President Obama's visit down to NASA, where we were opening up a lot of the, free market space exploration. And we had an event where we had to walk with Elon Musk long before any of us knew what Elon Musk was going to become. And I remember at that time, you know, we didn't want the cost. But I think we made a major mistake. I think our administration made a major mistake, and I hope that the government reconciles it because industry has too much power right now.
But how do you fix it now?
The way you fix it is nationalize it. That's what
nationalize what?
Sure. Why? I mean, that's one way.
Take it
I'm not for that. Let's make that perfectly clear.
Right.
But you
could.
think it's a problem.
How would you do that? It's a private
company. Well, it's already relying so heavily on
government all the time. They nationalized it. They just take it. They can take your property in front of your house to build a road. They can take
eminent domain.
They can take satellites.
Also, they're
I'm not endorsing that, but that's what
they're very heavily already dependent on U.S. government contracts. In many cases, they were built by them.
So were the car companies.
Well, you're right. And there's a problem when all of the car companies were potentially going bankrupt, and we don't have a car company. We need good car companies. So that was a big dilemma for the Obama administration. I think there's probably some in between, but they shouldn't be getting so much government money and then have the decision-making capabilities.
I think the broader question is this. Are they utilities? Is Facebook a utility? Is Starlink a utility?
Communication.
Is Google a utility? And should they be regulated like utilities?
Yes.
I think that's the broader conversation.
But if they were regulated, could then the U.S. government at this point say, Elon, at that point, could they say, Elon, you are not shutting off Starlink access when Ukrainian drones go to Crimea?
Because they're regulated.
In this, Elon was the one who made that decision.
Yeah.
He was the one uncomfortable.
You should not do that.
Not the U.S., not the Ukrainians, it was him.
Just like Facebook was uncomfortable printing stuff about Hunter Biden's laptop during the 2020 election. I mean, so yeah, the argument exists on both sides. Republicans don't like Facebook and Google having that much power. There's folks in both parties who don't like Elon Musk having this much power. So the debate is, should they be utilities?
How much does the U.S. government need Elon Musk? Because, you know, you think about Starlink, it's you know, shot off through space, or, you know, SpaceX. I think it's a part of SpaceX, which, you know, uses the government launch pads, and like they are intertwined. By the way, there's reporting that he anyways, they are intertwined. Like you can go down a rabbit hole on this, but
I mean, how powerful is this guy? I mean, I thought when I initially saw this report, I thought, well, what was he doing? But then it is his call. I mean, as people can criticize that and say, well, no, he should have gone the other direction, but it's his company.
Yep.
That's the problem. And that needs to be reconciled because this guy is trying to launch himself into space and leave all the rest of us behind.
Mars, right?
Keep in mind, if the government, if we had done what Johanna said, with respect, we wouldn't have this issue because we wouldn't have Starlink.
Yes.
Because the government's not capable of doing what he has done as quickly and as effectively as he's done.
Right, and that's,
maybe not.
That's both sides of the argument there. All right.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.